Some corpses. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Let me get this camera positioned right. Oh, so we're working on the clay wall or clay ears. I'm going to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. This thing's awful loose. I don't like it. Okay, all right, so we're going to work on the right side first. I've got my clay right next to this. You know what? I don't want me in the frame. There we go. So we want a little bit of the edge. Yes, sir. I've got my hose out here because it is kind of hot. And I wasn't going to do this again today because I woke up this morning, it was 85 degrees before the sun even came up. I'm like, we can't do this. It's impossible. So my plan was to wait till tomorrow, I guess, until, something better, a better day came along. But the wind picked up a bit. The wind picked up, which is a good thing. All right. Now I'm using water-based clay for the ears here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the clay right in here, right up to this wall. Just this little section here. I don't have to take all that clay off of there. And I'm just doing it by hand. Just taking some clay, and I'm glad this is a little stiff, this stuff. So I'm going to build it up. Once I have the piece covered the way I want it covered. Yeah, it's a bit moist out here, I can tell you that. It's definitely, now what I'm going to do is I'm sneaking this over top of the ear. Bring this down. We don't want any clay back behind this ear, but I'll show you what I'll do to clean that. I'll show you what I'll do to clean that. First thing I gotta do is gotta make sure that I'm behind the ear because I don't want the seam in front of the ear. That's it. See, I'm pushing this up in here. Now this stuff's real soft. I'm just trying to fix this area here. And we'll see. Definitely, alright, see I see a little bit of ear sticking out right here, and this isn't quite reaching over. I want it literally flush. So this way the seam falls behind the ear and not in front of the ear. You don't want the ear seam, you don't want it in front. Once I have this where it needs to be, pile it up and make sure it's kind of shaped the same way. Believe me, this is not that hard. And once you see what I do here, you'll figure it out. You'll be like, oh, okay, now I understand. And one thing I did forget was my spray bottle. Alright, so it's time to start piling it up and bringing that ear wall out. Should have put that. I need snakes. That's what I need. I need this. This is what I need right here. I gotta make some worms. There you go. That's what we do. We don't want this on top of the wall. I'll be definitely spray releasing this. This method here saves me a lot of clay. Believe it or not. I'm using very little, and I'll show you when I'm going to fill that little cavity in too. Because I don't want a really so the mold needs that support too. You don't want to have it too thin. Wet clay is dirty stuff, man. That's real earth. That's what we're dealing with here, wet clay is. So, earth material, it's dirt. It's dirt. Oh yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little piece in the back of the ear so it has more support. Alright, let me show you. So what I did is I just clumped it on here because the face doesn't matter. You have to understand the face does not matter. And how did I get all this all over the place already? Oh, you know what? I'm touching it with my hands. I gotta watch that. So we're gonna stick this. clean that up with that. Oh yeah. I don't have to go as thick as I think I'm going to go, and that may be just a little bit further than where I'm at now. But then I got to really make sure my seam line's really nice on the ear. I hope you can hear me. It's pretty breezy out here today. I'm actually glad because I'm not that hot right now. I'm on my back porch in the shade. Thank God it cooled down a little bit with this breeze. Or else I wouldn't have been able to do this today. And I am in a rush to get this done. I definitely want to get this done. Yeah, that actually doesn't matter how that goes in. It's here that we have to really be concerned about. How do I go the extra mile here? Simply just making sure that it's folds down and it forces the seam behind the ear. That's all I'm trying to achieve here. What I gotta do is touch my finger in some water with this stuff. Smooth it right out for me. That's where we want to be. Almost there. There's a little bulge spot right here. I want to make sure that this is filled in nicely. So watch because I'm touching the face and stuff and use the palm of my hand. Finger in a little water. And there you go. Now, I'll have to spray bottle this edge of the ear real good. We don't want any clay on the monster clay. We don't want any wet clay on the monster clay in the back of this ear area here or against the wall, because that affects the sculpture. So this clay is kind of stiff, so I'm kind of glad. A little stiffer. A good thing. I'm going to have to throw a little bit of water in there. I need to go get my spray bottle. trying to keep it just as flat as this in circumference a little bit. I don't want it to be too, like, you know, hilly and stuff, although it'll help with the registering. Um, Man, I'll tell you what, if I was sculpting with this stuff, a lot quicker, but I can't really do it in my studio because it's too messy. Too messy. Alright, I gotta fill in that spot there. Ay, ay, ay. Remember, that side doesn't matter at all when you're first doing this. You're plastering the back of the head first. And once that gets hard, then we take all this off, the clay and everything, and then we do the front half. So it's actually a very easy process. Unmolding it, that's another nightmare. Get some water here. I got tons of water right on my table. I just need to grab my spray bottle in my house because I'm going to be able to clean that. And I need to moisten this clay just a little bit so I can pile it up over here. So I'm going to do half of this now on this side since I have it facing me. This is just supporting. That's all I'm doing on the front of this is just putting some supporting clay so this doesn't really move. I think I'm going to come out just a little bit further with it. Just put a clump of clay here. There's some stuff in this clay from last time. And now I won't feel so guilty if I throw this stuff away. When I peel this off, I throw it away because it's just too cheap to try and salvage. Once that stone and stuff gets inside of it, it's really kind of shot. You know, the mortar, when I start putting the mortar in there, some of it gets stuck in there, so you're better off letting it go. You can get, like, I think I can get like 20 pounds of clay. I can even get the other stuff, pottery clay, and that works just as good because that's water-based as well. And I can get the pottery clay, and it's $20 for 20 pounds. 20, so it's $1 a pound. And now I won't be using a ton of it, using this new method. I don't know if anybody else is out there using this method. And I know I can't see your comments, guys, because I'm outside, once again, doing this sculpting. Can't read comments until later on. So, I mean, when I check, I'll check them once I get. The lumpier the better, actually, because that gives that means the other half's going to have to fit on it directly. Really nice. So, and once again, I didn't get enough right in here. To go right in here to support this. A little round balls on there. How about that? Now you might see this thing move a little bit. Now, the thing I really need to check real good is make sure that the clay is tucked in behind the ear. Yes, it is. Now I gotta wash this clean on the back side there before it dries up too hard. So let me clean my hands real quick and go get my spray bottle of water, and I'm going to jet that area real good so it cleans that. So it cleans it off. Don't mind my gut. It's getting skinnier though. I've lost some weight, which the doctor's excited about. That's some room temperature water. I have some room temperature water, and I want it to be cold because I want to spray the face down every once in a while, just in case. So. Get the hot water out of there. Those water's all hot. Being out in the sun. There it comes. Groundwater's always about 50 degrees once you get down to the real cold water. Perfect. Got my buckets all set up. I just have to have my, do it in the sprayer top, and there it is. Now I gotta put this on a jet stream. Huh. leaking a little bit. We gotta get a new water bottle. All right, so we're gonna do that. That's good enough. I'll show you what I'm doing. Hold on, let me show you. All right. You see how this was all dirty in here, and there's a little bit of clay up in that corner. I got to make sure all the wet clay is off the ear. All right, so that'll make the seam go behind the ear. I don't want the seam out in the front of the ear. All right, so let's do it this way. You can see. I want that clay completely exposed. Okay, that's that ear. Now it's messy on my table here, but I got a plastic table, so it's not going to hurt it. It won't hurt it. Let me just make it a little, one of the deep divots, like locking points on the plaster. Because then what happens is, then I got to clean the plaster out real good if this isn't real smooth. In other words, when the sculpt's done, the last thing I want to do is have to pick clay out of the sculpted wall. So while I'm here on this side, start shoving clay up underneath of this. Then I'll go to the other side. I'll stop right about there. So I'm not worried about it now because I have plenty of clay. I don't have to worry about making supports and all that stuff. Gotta get up. Oh, wait a minute. Gotta go down here first. This way. Support it. I'm trying to make a little bit of a drain, a gully to catch the clay. You'll see. You'll see. Right now, all I'm doing is adding support. Piece of hair in there. Who's been playing in my clay? 2 5-foot thumb. Definitely don't want nothing on the surface of the neck. Glasses out of the way. Don't need them. This stuff, you do get dirty with them hands. It's wet clay. It's not Play-Doh. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to sneak this up underneath. We're going to make sure under the mask, not under. I want to be under the neck. I don't want to be on top of the neck. I got to build that out about the same right here, but not, we'll see. I'm trying to explain it while I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it, and you'll see how it all comes to be. I'm doing the same thing on this. I'll jet some stuff underneath once I have it really piled up underneath this. Getting that sealed up to the edge of the clay is the most important part. Then from there, it's easy to see that? Got me in deep concentration here, and I'm not talking. This is important. I gotta make sure that this is right. I tuck it up underneath there just a little bit. Gotta pile it out. I try not to push it too hard into here because you got to take it out. Remember that. And it's got to be so it doesn't collapse. You don't want it falling on you. Oh, I'm getting dirty today. I like it. I like it. My favorite toy was dirt when I was a kid. Man, this is home for me. I used to play in the mud all the time. And I used to play in marsh mud.
Oh, you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, I am.
It's my kind of weather out here. It's Arizona weather.
This ain't bad now with that wind. It kicked up. I wasn't going to be able to do this if it hadn't calmed down a little bit. Man, it was brutal this morning. When I stepped out that door, I got up and right before the sun came up. I mean, literally, the sun, you can see it on the horizon, but it was below the horizon still. But it was like 100 degrees outside. I was like, what the heck? It felt just as hot as it did yesterday in the burning sun. Yeah, so what I did was I made a dividing wall out of tin and saved a lot of clay. I'm going to throw this stuff away. I don't have to worry about it. That's cheap. So I'm going to make my saving a lot of money. I still got to bring this all the way out to here. So now what I do is I just kind of just pack it out. I don't care about how it looks underneath. I'm not smoothing all this out. I don't have to. I have to make sure that this gully starts. I'll show you the gully. Gully meaning I want it on a little bit of a slant. This way when the plaster runs down, I can scoop it back up and push it back up onto the sculpture. And you'll see how I form that in a minute. It'll all make sense in a few seconds here. If you're new to my channel, some people have already seen my videos on how to mold. I've got a couple of videos on it. I've done this before. Nobody has seen the new sculpture. I'll show you guys that in a second. Also remember, your mold, when you go to fill this up with latex, it's upside down, so the base of this here is very important to have pretty, nice, because that is your top. Everything you're doing here is inverted. It's absolutely inverted once you pull the mold apart. Plays a little bit too. Too dry. It's been outside the whole time, but I kept watering it over time. I kept watering the clay, the water-based clay. I kept it in the bag, and every couple of days I would throw, a couple squirts of water in it. Not too much though, because you have to look at it and feel it. If it feels like it's pretty soft, then you have to open the bag and actually feel it to see what the texture is. Because if it's stiff, you want to make sure that you water it a little bit more. No leaks. We don't want any leaks, especially to the front side. More hair. Not my hairs, I got short hairs. I have short hair. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I have to put a little bit more here. I don't like a Alright, you see what I did here? Put a gully. That's going to gather up some plaster. Might go a little higher than that yet, too. Then I smooth it down into the gully. This is about how high I want this one. Now this doesn't need register keys on the back base of the neck. I won't need to do that until this is separated. Or actually, I take these, what do you call it, off. You always have to remember, you want to make sure that your gully, this area here is strong enough to withstand the weight of that plaster dropping down. So that's why it's important to build out your base underneath the neck area so it really can withstand that weight. And I just push it into the neck, and let's bring this together up here. Too flimsy here. I hate that. There's stone inside of this. That's why I get rid of this stuff. I don't even waste my time trying to save it. When I peel this off of here, it goes in the trash. I tried to salvage it last time, but that was a mistake. And the reason why I really don't want to salvage it either, because it's messy. You sure can't sculpt with it again once it has plaster chunks in it. You'll be ticked off trying to do your sculpture, constantly trying to clean the clay. I only use wet clay for my dividing walls only. I don't use it for any other thing. And now I figured out a way to save some money on wet clay by having these, and I can just reuse them over and over and over again. So this is still a little flimsy right in here. Just at the, yeah, more support right underneath. I don't know what's going on. It's just the back side of this is a little. That won't move now. All right. Now you see the little gully. One of those wet my fingers and slide my fingers around inside of this, make sure there's no holes. You know, where the plaster will run down inside of a hole and cause a lock. I mean, it's not just a lock, it also, you know, it's just, you know, it looks better if you do it right. A little bit more of a perfectionist. can't hurt you. You might as well keep on going right around this thing and get it right. Pile this out. I want this so it's not, this is not going to support too much weight there. When I get done this part right here, I'll when I get this clay done, then I'm going to read your comments before I start plastering. All right? Is that fair? I'll read all your comments if anybody's on. Put your comments down because I'm going to read them all before I go on to plastering. Any questions? Get them in. I try to make this as nice as possible where the gully is, because when I go to fill this up with latex, having that nice gully there is real important. You gotta think in terms of inverted. This gets inverted. This is all inverted when this becomes a little bit of a bulge right where the neckline is. There'll be a little bit of a bulge, and then it goes down inside the neckline. And you see how I try to add support in any areas that are kind of overhanging a little bit too much. Not that much there. Oh, jeez. Reason I'll probably do the comments is because I wanted to stiffen up just a little bit. Just a little, clean out the air. Okay. Now this seems lower over here. Oh, I know what it is. This side of the neck. For whatever reason, is not as oh, this ain't gonna take as long. This side. Yucky, lumpy clay. The neck takes up the most of the clay. It really does. It's a lot of clay. when you're shoving it up under his neck to create that belly. It's a lot of glitter. Now I just start piling it up. Trying to go a little faster. I want it to be super neat. The only time I want to get neat is when it's in the belly. Everything else underneath, what am I worried about? Stop doing that. You're wasting time, Johnny boy. You don't need to do that. See if I can turn it so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Build it up. The other thing I want to do is I got to get the stuff up underneath the neck. Don't want it on the surface of the neck at all. I'll clean off anything that's on there. Great. If there's any comments. Anybody on?
No.
Nobody's even on?
5 people.
Wow. Hello, 5 people.
How do you pull up comments?
You kind of just put your finger on the left side of the screen, just about a little bit up, and then just kind of just slide your finger down, and all of a sudden you see the comments. See it?
No.
There may not be any comments. If you see a little box pop up that says "Add your comments" on it, and you know you're in the right. I'll show you. Let me clean this hand. I'll show you, and you can read the comments for a few seconds. Can't touch that phone with all this stuff on, that's for sure. Phew.
Oh, excuse me. Where's the sinks?
Now you go up here, like right about here, and
the
you just slide. No, that's not the middle. This is the middle.
I'm saying the middle.
And then you can read what they're saying. Holy shit, there's quite a few. Go ahead, read them all off for me, and I'll answer any questions. Oh, I just realized what that hair was. That's in the clay. That is burlap, my friends. That ain't hair. It's burlap.
It says,
Let's go to the top.
Steve says, will the dividing walls press into the sculpt, leave what?
Mhm.
Leave a line on the mask. Steve said that.
Yeah, it would if I left it that way, but that's not the way I'm going to leave it. Once I take these shims out of here, the stone will be on this, it'll be on the back half of the side. I'll take the shims out, and then I'll go get my monster clay, and I'll fill that void where the shims were, nice and tight. So you won't have any shim marks at all. There won't be any seam. I think there's going to be such a small amount of seam to this. It's going to be really, I think this is a home run doing it this way. I do.
Keiko Vision says, hey DJ, I saw you change the whole mouth and it's just perfect.
Yep.
Did you receive any emails? Showed you some details for, so he said some improvements that he made.
No, I figured it out. I was doing something really stupid and not realizing it when I was sculpting those lips. And basically what I did was I had to bump out this lower lip further out and round it off. It was more rounded. It had to be rounded out more. And I brought this out further. The upper lip had to be brought out further. Never changed anything underneath. I didn't need to change that. I didn't need to change the actual lining of the lips, but I had to bump this area out. The nice surprise with that was now I gained the distance that I needed from from the tip of the nose to where the lip crack is right here. It was an illusion because it was a little too flat. It made the distance look too. It didn't look long enough. Now it looks really nice and long. Here you go. Take a look, guys. Hopefully the light's not killing your view. Yeah, see, none of this matters. It's only this side that I'm working on right now. You can see even the profile. See the profile, and then nice. It looks right. So, yeah, that's. Hopefully, I answered your question there. Anybody else, or there's a couple. Yeah, this should be a nice. Provided I don't have a lot of trouble getting the mold apart, this should be really nice. Now, all this little dirt that's from the clay from me touching it, because my dirty hands, I'll clean that off with the spray bottle. Because the spray bottle water will not damage this clay. It's super hard. But this stuff is soft.
Steve says, what are you going to do
He says he understands about the cards up here. What are you gonna do on the neck to cover the line? How are you gonna do that?
Watch the magic. No, I can't. Once I take these off, there's going to be a little bit of a line right there. And all I'm going to do is I have a special little noodle maker. It's like a press. And I'll make a real fine noodle and I'll put it right inside the crack and then smooth it out, whatever's showing. You got to remember the concrete's going to stop. The mortar will stop right where the wall is. And when I take these off, the wall will be right behind, it'll be, it's going to take the form of this. And then when I take these out, there'll be a little bit of a crack in there, but I can fill it right in with a couple of noodles of clay. That's it, real fine little noodles. And then I'll smooth it out with naphtha, and you will never even see that line. You won't see that line at all. I've never done this, so it may not work, but we're going to find out. I have a real good idea in my head that I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to work better than anything I've ever done yet. I still want to spray a spray release on this so the stone doesn't stick to it. I definitely don't want the stone sticking to the surface, although it does have vinyl on this side of the flashing. This is metal flashing for a house. It even has little ripples on it. It's going to be a nice. I don't think I'm going to need register keys because these have little tiny seams, and this will have a nice little ripple there, and there's seams and stuff. So when the cement comes together, it's going to have to match the other side. So you'll see. I can't. I get ahead of myself when I start thinking. And, okay, what's the next question?
I think that's it. Let me scroll up here. Rod says, plaster day.
Oh yeah. I readjusted the eyebrows, the lips. I gotta make my gully here now. Making my gully, and then I'm gonna smooth out the clay. All I do with the gully is just put this little worm, not little, but worm up on top of the wall, press it down. I'm smoothing it into the neck area, smoothing it on the back side so it supports itself.
So Styles, quick question. What do you think is, in general, if somebody were to start, what do you think the hardest process would be in making a mold like this? Like learning-wise.
The very first thing, you really have to really pay attention to where your high spots are. Because you can create a lock and you'll never get your head out of there. If you create a lock, you're never going to get your mold apart. And a lock is, imagine you put your hand, your fist, into the clay, or no, into plaster, into wet plaster. Goes around your wrist up here. See how narrow it is? It hardens. Guess what happens? You ain't getting your hand out because that's a lock. That's because it's narrow here and wider here. So it creates a lock. Now what happens is if I don't have the very peak of the head, like right on my knuckles here, that would be the very peak. That's where that dividing wall is, because when I go to separate, if I have the dividing wall here, there's this peak stopping this part of the sculpt won't come apart. So you got to make sure these are the areas that I think a lot of people struggle with the most. Is locking. You got to really pay attention to where your locks are. Ears automatically get locked. They get locked. You destroy them every time. When I take this apart, I make my walls really thick because I have to pry this apart, and when I get the back half's going to slide right off with no problem. It's the front half that gives you the nightmare because that's where all the details are. That's where your lock is, because when I pull this off, the seams behind the ear, everything forward wants to lock. All the stuff that's inside the ear, that locks. you bang the heck out of this thing with a hammer to get it off, and hopefully you got somebody else with you, because you need somebody to make sure that they're supporting this as you're prying this apart. This way they catch it when it falls forward, because the way you take apart this mold, it goes apart this way. You can't pull it this way. It can't come apart this way because the chin is a lock. All right, that'll keep you from going up. It has to go down. It has to, both sides have to go in a downward motion.
Takeoff Vision says, in the email I added some missing wrinkles on the bridge of the nose, and on the left I am using Photoshop.
It depends on what mask you're looking at.
He says, I changed the mouth, which is now
Was it his sculpture?
perfect, and I changed the eyebrows just a bit in shape, and added a bubble on the mouth, a dimple / bubble on the mouth.
And that's his sculpture?
I believe so.
I can't, can you see it?
No, he doesn't. He said when you
All right,
look at
I'll
your
have
email.
to look at it on the email. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll definitely. Now, do you want my criticism on it? Do you want, because I don't bash people. It's corrective criticism, that's all. Never bash anybody. Never do that. That's not my point. It's to help somebody, not to hurt somebody. Never. This is very hard. This mask, I'm going to say, is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've done some relief carving in wood. It had to be precise, but I've never worked with, like, human anatomy. So this is all new to me. I've only been doing it for 2 years, so I'm no expert. But if you like what I do, and you think that my work is something that I can teach you, then I'll help you out. If it's something where you're better than me and you've been doing it for a lot longer, how am I supposed to feel about telling somebody that's been doing it for 30 years? I just don't do that. That's just not, there's people that have been doing this for years. I don't criticize anything in hate form, so to speak, I guess, or it's all corrective criticism.
And he gives the best corrective criticism.
Sometimes.
Who knows what these are? And don't spoil it, Styles. Who knows what these are?
Flathead screwdrivers.
Ah, right, you got me. They're prying tools.
Yeah, you go to Harbor Freight.
Hell yeah.
Cheap. It cost me $1.80 each for perfect prying tools.
All right, so Takeoff Vision says, I don't know, I'm having such a hard time reading that. Takeoff Vision says, just some details in which are missing. I can't even read today. What's the original Myers mask had, but did?
I'll turn this around in 1 second, and I'll show you what I think.
But don't get me wrong, your mold has great potential.
We're trying to replicate the exact Myers mask.
Well, Vision, I'll say that his mask is not a copy or a clone or anything like that. So I don't understand your comment. Maybe John can clarify that. He'll help you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make an exact replica of the original mask. The reason why I find it extremely hard to do the exact replica of the mask, because it depends on who's wearing it, on how it looks. If you want to make it look like when Nick Castle wore it with the stretched look, then you got to sculpt it that way. I would love to see that mask outside of a Captain Kirk mask. There's only one photo that I've seen that looked like the Shatner. I've seen a lot of Shatner molds that are completely deformed. They just don't look good. And the life cast. And I thought, I don't want to replicate that, because I don't care if it is right or not. I just don't think that's not how the mask look. And I'll tell you, give you a little hint. If you look at some of the clips where they showed you the stunt double mask, they had like 3 or 4 masks on set of the original Halloween 1. All right? And each one of those masks looked different. They didn't all look the same. They had a hero mask, the one that looked great. That was the one that they called the hero mask because it was the best looking mask of the bunch. So none of the masks were identical. They weren't exact. And I think it has a lot to do with the mold process. You got to remember when they did William Shatner's mold, I think it was 1975 when they did that. And when they did that mold, you know, it was mass produced. We actually a friend of mine actually worked there. I worked there every once in a while. I was just a kid, I was young. But there was a place called the Fun Shop, and I've mentioned this before on here. And they actually sold Don Post masks there. It was actually a magic shop on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey. And they used to sell magic tricks and masks, and you name it. But the only thing they carried was Don Post. And at the time, I think Don Post was the only guy making masks, latex masks. He was the one with the secret on how to do this. This all stems from him. This mask making business. Even wet clay, I think they developed it at Disney. That's how wet clay was made. It was actually designed and made at Disney. For whatever they were using it for, I don't really know. But my thoughts on this is there is no exact mask that you can replicate unless you're actually replicating a specific scene in the movie, because we don't have enough shots of nobody wearing the mask. At least not enough shots to really be accurate. We don't have all the angles. We don't have all the, you know, we have like the phone scene. You can get the lips really good with the scene where he's on the phone in Halloween 1 after he kills Linda with the phone cord. You can see the shape of the mouth really good. And that's how I discovered this. I was just looking at that and I'm going, wait a minute, no wonder this is messed up looking. And then I fixed it. I'm no expert at this. No, man, I'm learning as I go too. So I have 1 year of experience with human anatomy, or 2 years, you know, doing this, and that's it. There's no, like I said, I'm not an expert. And if you want an expert, I'll tell you who you reach out to, but he's not going to give up his secrets too much. Nick Malpagano, he's a great artist with a really good eye, and he's studied this for years. He's been studying this mask for years. I've only been studying it for 1.5 years. You know, that just gives you an idea. You know, maybe 2 years. And I keep retooling it because I keep finding mistakes. I keep finding things that I'm not doing right. And it's not that I don't have the eye, I just don't have the knowledge. And I haven't really observed those details for a long enough time to really pick out the little problems that I'm having here and there. Now the little pimple in the mouth, I may put that in here, I may not, I don't know. I'm not sculpting, I'm not into plaster yet, so I can make that little fix if I want to. The air bubble that's in the corner of the mouth, I didn't do it this time. It was in the other sculpture, and it made it difficult for painting. It really did. It was really tough to make it look good because the paint job wasn't going into that mouth area real good. And I'm thinking, do I really want to do that again and have to deal with the paint issue? I don't think so. So what we're going to do is we're just building up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to move on to the ear. I don't have my man reading the comments here, so as soon as I get on the ear, I'll read all your comments. See, I've stretched this out a little bit. It's a little too thin in that area. I made my gully. And now I'm going to smooth it out real good once I get this support in here. Gotta remember that plaster's heavy, man. When it starts dripping down on this off this head, you don't want that clay falling off on you when it's still wet. Boy, would that be a nightmare. Yes, it would. That would be a nightmare. This is a gully. Well, it's two things. It's when this thing's upside down and you're putting latex in it. I'll show it to you in a minute. I have one sitting over there. Okay. Okay, now I need some water. Just to wet my fingers. We're just going to fill in any kind of might be a little hole from where I put two pieces of clay together. And I don't want any holes so the plaster doesn't run down inside it. Smoothing it out, that's it. Just making sure there's no holes. This gets burlap. And I'll clean it up once I get, actually better do that now. Let's get this off this side. Just jet that in there. And then, what I like to do is kind of just dump it out. Just watch it on, flip your whole sculpture over. There we go. There, that's what I did. I just blew that water out of there. Make sure have a leak where your aluminum is touching your clay wall. Okay. I'm going to clean my hands real quick, and then I'm going to start working on the ear on this side. I see this. I pushed on this and it dented the ear just a little bit, but I can fix that. Before ow! Ooh! That's stiff. And over here I have two buckets. I have dirty water and clean water. And in the clean water, it's clean. In the dirty water, I have my pieces of burlap soaking in it. All right. All right, now, I just need to push that little clay's soft because of the heat out here. That normally wouldn't have happened if the clay was harder. And that won't hurt nothing, having that little seam in there. I'll get it out though. I'll make sure it's all fixed. This is what I was worried about, having too much heat out here. Let's do this. All right. Not a good day. Anytime you got days that are this moist out, that's where I was touching it. Just want to clean it up. See all this junk that was just where my hands had the clay on it, and touched it. And that's how you clean your clay. You don't lose your detail. I'm not pushing at all. I'm just kind of wiping the water beads off and any kind of extra clay that's sitting up top there. Anything on this thing, in case I touched it up underneath the chin. I know not to put pressure on any of this. Alright, so, base is clean, and I'll clean it again before I start sculpting. Okay, perfect. All right, now I got to do the ear. Ear time. What was that? Nice piece of clay. This time, I'll put a little more on there. Now, because I've never done this before, this method. This is something new for me. I've never done this particular method. You know, when it's an experiment. I'm trying to save time, a lot of time. It saves a lot of time. Believe me, it does. Because you see how long it took just to do this clay neck. Definitely don't want to have hold on, let me concentrate here, guys. I'll make sure my seam goes behind this ear. Hold on so you can see. Alright, see I'm piling on the clay. Alright, now I want this line to be back behind the ear because you don't want that seam on the face of the ear. So you don't want to see it. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that the seam is covering the ear. It goes back behind the ear. And I'll clean out that just like I did the other side. As soon as I get done this year, which isn't gonna take as long this time, because I was kinda like trying to figure out how I was gonna do it this time around. What I'm doing is I'm pushing it. I'm creating a little bit of a bead so that I know it's going to go back behind the ear. And then I just... Alright, now this side needs a little more right up on top. Right in here. Alright, now you can see the bottom of that ear, there's still... This is the hard part, right here, making sure you get the seam on there. See how this one is? See how you see the brown clay versus the red clay, gray clay? That's where the seam will be, right there. And it's behind the ear. That's what I want. That's what I'm trying to do on this side. And I've got some clay in here, which is fine. But what I'm doing is I'm going to clean it out. There's a little bit of an area. There we go. I just want to make sure. Okay, now, before I go sticking this, well, yeah, I better clean it. Because if you don't clean this, all I'm doing is I got this on jet. I'm cleaning out that corner real good. Okay, now the next thing I want to do here, I'm going to dump this water out of here. Actually, I want to do this. Now, clean my hands a little bit. Make sure there's no clay on the back of this neck. My hands are clean, that's why I clean my hands so I can wipe it off. I'm not disturbing too much of the actual texture. I'm just smoothing this out just a little extra bit. Like I said, I want to let this dry a little bit more before I start plastering the back side. I have to move the sculpture over to the other spot. Okay, so now we have that. Now we just have to build this out just like the other side. Just want the clay a little bit. Just a little bit more manageable. I'm just shaping it. I'm looking at the ear and I'm trying to give it as much shape as possible, and then just kind of pile it on there. And then where I make it grab is right here in the front. And then I'll fix the back of it once I get the pieces connected. And once again, you see how like I smoothed out the gully on this? I want to do the same thing on this ear. I want to make sure that that's nice and flat and round, the shape of the ear. For the mold reasons. For, you know, when I'm doing the mold, this is quicker this time because once I get that shape in there, too much, and I'm not trying to push it into the ear. You don't need to. Don't need to push it into the ear. I'm just sticking clay onto clay. I'm sticking the wet clay onto the wet clay and kind of mashing it in. And then this here, building it out, that's all. Building it out, and I'm going to make this fix what I didn't quite. I'll show you what I'm doing. See what I'm doing here, guys? I'm just making it all smooth. I want to cut into this. I want to take that bulge away because I don't want the front of the ear being noticed. I don't want the seam falling in front of the ear. The seam's got to be behind the ear. And just do a little at a time. You build it out. I guess they're having a good time next door, huh? You guys can hear the kids jumping in the pool. Oh my God, it feels so good. That's what they just yelled. That's funny. Temperature is so hot here. Well, it's actually not too bad today. Yesterday was worse. It was still. Just keep working with it. Just keep on working. I'll smooth off the back of the ear once I have it all in place. Once I have it built out far enough. Let's do this. Remember, I'm going to come out to the edge of this thing, so I'm going to make sure that I have this firm. This chunk. Oh yeah, man. Almost ready to read your comments, guys. Almost. Sit back and chat with you guys for a few minutes. This piece is dropping down on me, so I have to put a bunch right in here. More support. I do the outer edge and then I do the inside to support it. I don't care if I deform this a little bit right now. I'll push that back into shape once I have this place stuck together and have the support. Okay, so we need a chunk right here. To really give us this extra support right in this area here. Right there. Okay. So now we're working on, we've got the support there. Now we're working on smoothing it out and making it nice and round. The actual shape of the ear. I don't like it sloping this way. I want that ear, I want it out so it's even with that ear. Because when you go to take these things apart, you don't want a mold that's just, the more rigid and or bumps, and I want to say the worse the less time you spend smoothing this out, the harder it's going to be to get a seal so it doesn't leak. I don't want my mold to leak. When I put the two halves together, I want it as tight as possible. This way, when I pour a little bit of latex right on the seam on the inside of the mold, it'll seal up, and then I won't have to worry about that's about as thick as I need it right there, and I'll show it to you on the side once I get it. Once I get all the pieces in place. Okay. Almost. I can see it from this side. See what I did now? I flared it out pretty much like that's. I want the extra mile on this, obviously. I guess because the pieces are longer, that's all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I need to put a little bit more up in here. Use that ball. Okay. Now a little water on the fingers. And I can see that I've been pushing this away, so I'm going to have to fix that. But that's no big deal. The flange is coming off the base here, but I can fix that with no problem. Once I get done pushing on this up here, I'm going to put the back side, I'm going to put some clay on the back side of it so it doesn't. See what it did here? Started coming apart. So I just need to push that back into place, and stick some clay right there. That'll keep it from going anywhere. Do the same thing up here. I don't really have to do anything to this. This ear's stopping it from going anywhere. Before I move forward with this, I want to make sure I'm putting a little clay slurry. That'll also help it release. See all the clay that's on my hands? I can put a little slurry on there. And that'll keep it from sticking. Because stone will not stick to clay. It only has to be a very thin coat. That's it. So I have to do this. Wet my fingers. Rub it on this wet clay. Rub it over here. I'm still going to spray a release on it, just to be on the safe side. I'm just taking a piece of clay and I'm really putting some clay on my fingers. A little clay slurry is that I call it a slurry because that's basically all it is anyway. And once that dries, that's just an extra barrier that keeps it from. See, I got this sticky on my hand. You just rub it onto the face. I don't have to do the other side, just this side. And I didn't see that. I just kind of thought about it and thought, this is a good idea. Let me try it out. I don't think anybody's done this. Well, no, I don't know if anybody's done this method. I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure somebody's done something. Because using clay all the time kind of really sucks. Alright, let me clean my hands, and I'm going to spray this again so there's no clay on the head. And then we move on to making the plaster backside. The first coat is very, very, very runny. Yeah, the very first coat is extremely running. All right, let me clean this off real quick. Spray inside of here. Nothing in my detail. That should be good. Now I got all this excess water inside my troughs here, so that's a good thing to call it a trough, because that's what it is. I know it's not leaking, or else that water wouldn't have stayed there. Nice slippery trough. Okay, time to take the phone off the thing and see what you guys have to say. All right, let me seal this back up, because we're not going to use this for a while. Clean my hands real quick and then grab the phone. Grab the phone. Come on. Hands are wet, so give me a sec, guys. I'm gonna dry my friggin' hands real quick. And I normally use a blow, and you know, I grab my air compressor and blow that off real good before I do anything, but I'll let it dry. It's not hot enough to melt this clay. It is softer. All right, hold on. I'm gonna dry my hands so I can touch the phone. Whew. Plus I'm sweaty. All right, I'm gonna zoom back out. There we go. Wow, okay. Sup, Custom Corpses, that's Crusher. How we doing? How do you like your mask? I sent a mask out to Crusher. It's out in, yeah, it's out in, blah, blah, blah. Puerto Rico. Oh my God, man, I'm so dead. That's what it is. It's 100 degrees out here. We're not used to this weather right now. So I'm a little lethargic, so don't mind me today. So Crusher's on. Let's see. Hey DJ, I saw you changed the whole mouth and it's just perfect. Did you receive my email yet? No, I have not. I'm going to check out your email. Takeoff Vision. I will definitely check out your email when I get done this process today. Plaster Day, Bob Lane. Yes, it is. Could you zoom out a bit? I cannot see what you're doing. Oh, wow. Great. Is that... Oh, man, that sucks. I hope I had it in frame. I hope he didn't mess, like banging around when he was reading your text. Okay. Let's see. Will the dividing wall pressed into the sculpt leave a line? Oh yeah, it'll definitely leave a line. And I think I answered this question already, but I'm gonna reread everything and then answer the questions. If you guys have any new questions, throw them up there. Yes, it'll create a dividing wall. But see, we're gonna put plaster on this side, all right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all these out, and then there'll be this little tiny bit of a where the pieces of metal, I mean, it's literally under a 1/16 of an inch. And I'll be able to push and smooth out that inside of that line from the other side. Once the plaster's hardened on this side, we shouldn't have any problem with fixing that. And I'll do that process on here as well. Yeah, I'll probably make this part 1, and then I'm going to come right back on in the next 10 minutes and put part 2 up, doing the dividing walls and the ears. Let's see. I'll make sure that this is not zoomed out like the other one. Yes, the hair will cover some, but that, what about the neck? Yeah, no, that's it's all going to be good, Steve. Don't worry about that. I'll have it all worked out. In the email, I added missing wrinkles on the bridge, on the nose, and on the left eye using Photoshop. I changed the mouth, which is now perfect, and changed the eyebrows just a bit in shape. Yes. And added the dimple double on the mouth. I may even do that yet. I don't know yet. Before I mold that front half. Let's see. Just some details which are missing what the original Myers mask had. But don't get me wrong, your mold has great potential. Yeah, I think it does. I think it's on the money as far as what I'm trying to achieve. Yes, WED. Walter E. Disney. Yes, you got it. That's right. He created that, Steve. Walt Disney. I know it was Disney that did that designed the WED clay. I didn't know it was actually Walter himself. Well, I usually let the latex when I do a dwell cast of latex in a mold. I usually let it sit in there for 2 hours, and that's because of my location. But because it's so hot and humid now, I may let it sit in there for maybe 3 hours. The more humid it is, the longer you want it to sit in your mold, because what the mold actually does is pull moisture out of the latex, and that's how it cures. The more damp it is outside, the more humid it is, the longer that mold takes to pull that moisture out of the latex. Mold the front first. Pack the dividing clay wall behind ear line, following edge of ear. Steve, the reason why I like this method, let me turn this around so we can see what I was. Let's put it right on its edge. All right, let me explain the reason why I like doing it this way. I put the plaster on this side first. The reason why is because this side has all the detail and a lot more locking points. Number two, once that plaster is hardened on the back of the head, can take this head and lay it down horizontally. All right? And then really just pour real runny Ultra Cal 30 into all the detail really good. And I don't like molding vertically because of the chin. You can always have problems with this chin area when you're trying to capture that detail. And I found myself getting a lot of bubbles. So I always do the back of the head first so I can lay the mold down once the stone's hardened, because it's acting as a natural cradle, so you don't have to worry about it getting damaged when it's laying on the on its backs, on the back of its head. Then I put all the I put all the plaster on the front half when it's laying this way. So that's why I do it the way I do it, because I think that it's a better way. For me, it's a better way. For you, it might not be. But let's see what else we got. What else you guys got? Nope, I don't like doing it horizontal because you lose Here's where you always have problems. You know, if you're doing these molds, you know you have a lot of problems underneath that chin. So if it's laying down on the back of the head on the plaster, you have, you know, you're just pushing that, you're putting the plaster right on there and capturing every detail, and you don't have to worry about your chin getting an air pocket or a bubble, whatever you want to call it. This is the best, I think, is the best method to do, and I actually learned that method none other than Alan Hops. He always said, do the back half of the mold. That has less detail. It depends on also what you're doing. I mean, this is a Michael Myers mask, so there's barely any detail on the back of the head. All your detail is on the front, so you always want to make sure that you're using the back of the head as your little, you know, it'll lay flat. It'll lay down, and I'll be able to put all the details. Yo, Crusher, what's up? I changed the mouth. I think I have this thing nailed now, man. It looks really nice. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn it all the way around so you guys can look at it while I'm letting this thing dry a little bit. Then I got to put some sorry. All right, so I'll zoom in a little bit on the mouth so you can kind of see. I fixed it. It looks identical to, you know what mask I used on this? The flashback mask. And if you watched yesterday's video, I showed you a picture with none other than Gene Roddenberry in back of William Shatner and Spock. It was actually Spock and Captain Kirk masks. And when I saw that picture, I thought, oh my God, he sculpted that based on the Captain Kirk mask, no doubt. So this is, I'm in the process. I'll be plastering the backside of this wall in about a half hour. I'll be back in about a half hour. I need a break. I need to go get some water. I need to, I got seven people on right now, and I got to bounce off of here. But I'll show you guys what I've been doing. Let me put the phone on the stand. Yes, I'm close. I'm very close to what the original. I mean, it's got water on there because it's real hot out here, and I didn't want the mask melting. Yeah, if you could actually see the light's not perfect out here to see the lips, but it's real close to the flashback mask. I mean, so close you can't tell the difference. That's how close it is. And I figured out the trick on the lips, on why my lips never looked right. Finally figured it out. I just didn't have them bulging out far enough. They weren't out far enough this way. So, and I had to round them out, and there was some clay that I had to put on the top of each side of the lip going down. There was a lot of things I had to do to adjust it to make it right. And like I said, I've never done these sculptures before. And human anatomy is very important to learn when you're doing these. I also fixed the eyebrows. These look exactly like the original mask. If you can see that. Yes, I did. I fixed the chin. You can see the chin. Everything looks right. The other thing that this did, by adding the clay to the front of this, it created more distance between the very tip of here to the tip of the nose. And that's why this looks right now, because it comes out more. So, I'm sorry, I'm shaking the phone. Please hit the like button, everybody. You guys got 6 people on here, man. I want to see 6 likes, please. Definitely. Hopefully you guys like what I'm doing anyway. If you don't like what I'm doing, why watch? Anyway, so help me build this channel. Definitely hit the like button for me. Yeah, let me put this phone on the stand and back it up, and then I'll turn this thing around and show you all the little details that I did to the sculpture. The only thing I didn't do to this one is I didn't put the air bubble in the corner here of the mouth. No air bubble there this time, and I'm debating on whether I want to do it because it made it more difficult to paint it. It really did. It made it more difficult to paint. And I know it's part of the original mask. But I want to tell you something. If you think about it, because I've done enough masks now in these retooling that every mask has little flaws. So the mask that they used in the movie had that little flaw of the air bubble in there. I'll bet if they had grabbed another mask, that air bubble wouldn't have been there. That simple. It would have been a defect. I don't think the defect was in the mold. The defect is actually in the defect is actually in the latex process because you get bubbles, you get all kinds of little things that happen. I'm just looking at, okay, that's just water. I was like, what the heck is that? All right. It looked like a dent in the plaster or in the sculpture. We don't want that. Oh, yeah. All right, so let me back this up. I'll put it on the stand so you guys can see this a little better. And then I'm going to jump off of here, eat lunch, take medicine, drink a gallon of water, and then come back out here and start plastering this thing. So I'll be back on in about 20 minutes to a half hour, maybe about a half hour. I'll be back live. Yeah, it's night and day. Let me show you guys. I'm gonna show you guys real quick the whole detail of the mask real quick first. I got to put the phone back a little bit further. I'm gonna jack this up so I can see what I'm looking at here. I can't see anything. Give me a second. I'll zoom out a little bit. All right, can you guys see that? Can you guys see the face? Let me get around this thing and I'll start turning it for you so you can see it better. I even changed the eyebrows. And I'll show you the profile of it. Change the eyebrows, the chin, let me see what you're seeing. Yeah, it looks a lot better. It definitely looks a lot better. So. Okay, let's do this side first, profile. We're gonna get some of this junk off of here. Let's do that profile first. See what you see. It's tough because I don't have good lighting out here. Ken Hertland mask? Well, it could very well be. I don't know. I didn't really follow that picture. That's not what I was going for. I actually just kind of, I was actually looking at the flashback mask. That's what I was using for reference. The flashback mask and Halloween Kills. Those lips are awesome on that mask. That is just, it looks so good. All right, I'll flip it around the other way. You can see the profile on that. See what you can see. Yeah, you see the profile? It looks good. I think the profile's on the money. And I also changed the nose. The nose isn't like stuck up like it was before. It looked like it was a little too stuck up. I rounded the nose at the tip and down underneath of the nose where the nostril flare outs are. So it looks really nice. The eyebrows are changed. I did a lot. I did a lot to the sculpture. This is going to be a gem to have, I can tell you that. It will be a nice mask to own. No doubt. You guys will enjoy having this mask. Now, I have to, you know what? I'm gonna put this on the plaster. Yeah, I have my Lazy Susan over here. Hold on a second, guys. I'm gonna put it over there and put it on top of that since I gotta go there anyway. I gotta move it to there anyway. Ooh, man, that's a lot heavier now. Now, I can show it to you maybe with some better light on it. Hold on, let me see if I can move the phone. Some more lights hitting it. Come on, what is up with this thing? It got loose. Hold on. Jesus. This thing's loose. I gotta fix that. Okay. All right, now you'll be able to see the profile a little bit better. See the lips. I have it on my Lazy Susan. Gotta clean it up a little bit more. That is the Custom Corpses Night Creeper 78. And I think I don't have much more to do with this. I don't have anything to do with this. If I want to put the, you'll notice a little too rough right here. I'll have to take some naphtha to it. I see a couple bumps right here I'm going to fix. And all it takes is a little bit of light and it changes your whole, you can see every little detail. Nice and slow so you guys can see it. The eyebrows, definitely change those. I changed the nose a little bit. The mouth. I spent most of my time on the lips and the mouth. Most of the time is spent on the lips and the mouth. A little bit of chin work, but not much. Jesus. This thing here, I gotta fix this before I start the next video. No biggie. Anyway, guys. Let me bounce off of here, go get lunch, go get some water in me. I'm dehydrated. I've been out here in this heat for at least a couple hours putting this clay on here. So this is part one of molding the molding process of my Custom Corpses Night Creeper 78 retool. All right. And yeah, I made this out of a I made the Lazy Susan. I got rid of that wooden one that I had over there. That just would get too sticky. And this one here, as you can see, just rotates on its own. So, all right, guys, let me bounce. Let me see what you said here real quick. If anybody actually, let me read your last comments, and then I'm going to jump off of here and go get my lunch. Oh my God. I am tired, man, and I've only just started. Okay. Yeah, but he based, and I mean, I talked to Nick directly on that. He based his sculpture on the artwork that was on the poster art of the Halloween 4 and 5. The poster art of that mask is what he based his sculpture on. If you look at the actual photograph that's on the book cover of the original, it doesn't have all those little, like, it looks like he had a cross in the top of his head. Like, it didn't have all those things in it. The original sculpture, the original mask, but it did on the painting, and that was actually that was art. That was art that was done to that. That was painted, that mask on that book cover. Steve Martler, what's this? Yeah, so yeah, let me go get my lunch. I'm getting very lethargic. I need some energy. I definitely have to have some lunch in me, and I definitely have to get back to molding this. I want to get this done today. But first, I'm going to spray it with a little bit of cold water, so I can make sure that it doesn't melt. We don't want this getting too soft. Yeah, it's definitely the flashback lips. Ken Hertland, 31st. You've been doing nothing but pulls lately. 31st. Got to get back to sculpting. I hear you, man. I'm pushing. I'm going to do these master molds, and I'll probably pull a couple latex, but then I'm going to make a master copy. But I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait till fall. I want to try and get all my sculptures done. This is going to be, once this is done here, because I had to make sure that the mouth was right, the lips were right, the eyebrows needed changing. I wanted to retool this again because I learned a few more things just through looking at photographs, different masks, and mainly screen-used masks. I did not look at cover photos of books or anything like that. I didn't use anything from the 13 mask because that's not what I was aiming for. I wanted more of a original Shatner with the lips or the flashback, because if you look at the picture that I showed yesterday of the Captain Kirk mask back in 1975 when Gene Roddenberry was actually promoting the mask, there's a nice shot in black and white with Roddenberry in the background and the two masks, Kirk and Spock, right in front of them. And you can see, if you look at those lips on that mask, you can see that those lips on the flashback mask are very, very close to that. Very close. And I am going to put the bubble in there because I just think that people are going to be anal about the bubble, so I'll put the bubble in it. No big deal. I can do that while I'm out here. There's a couple things I have to do to fix fix it up a little bit before I go back on. So I'm going to make sure I get everything where it has to be, and then we will go from there. I'm only going to put maybe 2 bubbles. I think I was doing 1 bubble before. I don't know, should I do 1 bubble or 2 bubbles? Tell me, guys. "31st, add the bubble." All right, I'm going along with you. I'm going to put the bubble in there. But do we want to do 1 bubble? Yeah, we're going to do 1 bubble since you actually said add the bubble. So we're going to put 1 bubble in there. It just makes it more difficult to paint when that bubble's in there. At least it did with the other mask, the other sculpt. It was a little more aggravating. Oh yeah, all right. Well, Steve, takeoff vision. All right, hold on a second. Let me show you something what I did with my sculpture that makes mine my sculpture. I didn't replicate those wrinkles because they looked carved to me. All right, let me show you mine. Mine look like real flesh. The way flesh hangs off your face, see? See how the bumps come in to the bridge of the nose? That's how real flesh comes into our nose. That's how our scowl comes into our nose. And if you look at that in the light, I need the right light, you can see that the scowl's coming in. And I actually have a knife wielder that's actually a replica of it's actually taken from the Captain Kirk, or no, William Shatner mold. And that's how his looks on there. This is not an exact replica of anyone's mask. It's not a 13, it's not a flashback mask, it's not the original first mask, it's not the original second mask in Halloween 1 and 2, the original films. It's a mix of all of the different masks. And what I feel are the most scariest elements is the attitude of the sculpture. And I think the eye cuts have to be identical to the original, which these are. And the eyebrows have to be identical to the original, which these are. No doubt. I have no doubt. I spent so much time on the eye cuts and the eyebrows that these are like almost dead on. Dead on, as much as you can from a 2-dimensional picture. All right, so, but the eye cuts are correct. The nose is not exactly like, it looks more like a real nose. You know, the lips are the flashback lips, no doubt. This ridge here needs to be smoothed out a little bit more. And while I'm at it, I'm going to put the bubble in the other side, just because you guys want that bubble. I even did something different with my stab wound here. I put some cracks in there. I know latex doesn't crack, but it's a little bit swollen. You know, it's got a little bit of a swell to it. And I put some cracks in there. They cracked it when it became old, so why not? We'll put a little bit of cracking in there. And like I said, you guys, I know you guys want me, I don't want to replicate anybody's work. That's really what it comes down to. I want this to be on its own. I thought about it. The more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I can replicate this to make this look like a Ken Hartland. I can make it look like the original film. I can make it look like, there's so many different shots with so many different people wearing that mask, that the mask looked so different on so many different people on the original film that which one do you make? You know, so I wish there was more footage, better detail of nobody wearing the mask. That's what you really need. And so much emphasis goes into. I just think that would be the home run. So anyway, this is drying a little bit, which is good. I have to spray some release on it for sure before I start the sculpture, but I got to go get something to eat. I'm starving, guys. I have to eat something. I might have to push some more clay up into here. When I come back out from my break, I'm going to fix all these little details that I can see real good now because the lighting's much better outdoors. Just some imperfections that I want to take out. Like right here, there's like a ridge on this little bump. And it's a little lumpy right in here. I'm going to fix that. And it looks like there's a little bit of a lump right in here. I'm going to take that out. But it's just a tiny, it's from a tool. That's what it is. It's from a tool mark. It's a tool mark that caused that. So I'll smooth that out. And we are going to start putting plaster on this thing. And I will take a look at your email first. I'll take off vision. I'll go look at it. Yeah, you know, it just depends on. I have to see what I'm looking at first. I'm a real stickler with making my own version of this mask. I was talking to Nick Malpagano about it. About like, you know, okay, I'll just do replica. I'll just do a replica. I don't want a replica. I don't want to do a replica. You know, when you buy my mask, you're going to want that mask because it stands on its own. It's not. And if nobody buys it, so what? I don't care. This is extra for me. This is fun. I'm just so not into making an exact copy of anyone's work. Like, I'm not going to do a 13. He's already done it, and it looks perfect. Why mess with something that's already done? Why do a Ken Hartland? Ken Hartland's already been done. I don't want it to be identical. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, everybody's mask is just a little bit different than somebody else's. The reason why is because nobody has the perfect ability or the perfect. They don't have the mask in front of them to really see how the mouth is shaped and how this is. You know, you're going off of two-dimensional pictures, and that's the problem. Nobody can actually replicate anybody's work to a T unless I have that mask in front of me. If it's on my desk, I can copy it to a T. I know that. So, but I don't want that. I want my own original sculpture. You know, and like I said, everybody's mask is just a little bit different anyway. Not, huh? It's brutal out here. It's brutal. Yeah, well, the only thing is I'm liking the breeze. The breeze is helping. So, yeah, just remember that going forward, guys. I'll look at those details, and whether I'll like them or not, I'll decide whether I like or want those kind of details in that mask. I don't know. Wrinkles and that stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure where you're talking about the wrinkles, but 4 wrinkles on the top of the nose at the bridge. I know where you're talking about. The problem is with those wrinkles, they're not really wrinkles. It's flesh. All right, think about your flesh. The reason why I did mine to look like natural, real flesh is because how do wrinkles happen? All right, 1, movement of the muscles in the face. 2, gravity. A wrinkle isn't carved in, it sags. That's what causes your wrinkle. It's sagging flesh. All right, and that's what that is on those noses and the bridge and even in the eye corners. That's sagging flesh. It's, you know, the scowl in itself is from facial expressions. You have muscles in your head. You know, everybody's scowl is different. But my main thing is my sculpture is on its own. It has its own look. I wanted them to be proper, though. It has to be right as far as the shape. The shape of the head has to be extremely right. The jawline has to be right. The eye cuts have to be on. and the expression on the face definitely matters. And that all comes into play when it comes to the natural look of the face. If you look at my pictures of the actual mask that I've made so far, yes, the mouth isn't right, and that's why we've retooled this. But if you look at those pictures, you can see that the eyes and the I want to say the bridge of the nose where the wrinkles are. I'm not changing that because I really like the way this looks. It looks natural. It looks real. It looks the way flesh really falls onto your top of your bridge of your nose. That extra one wrinkle, there's another one that's right on the right eye, has a little bit more wrinkle. That's just a little bit lower than the top of the scowl. I didn't do that. But then again, if you look at the flashback mask, it don't have it on there either. That's what I'm saying. If you're trying to pick apart every little mask has its little bit of differences, a little bit of changes. Even the flashback mask, honestly, the shape of the head's not correct. So, well, no, I want everybody's opinion, but this is the difference between your mask and my mask. It's just my version of this is a natural, more natural look. I don't want the bridge of the eye bridge looking like a carved. I'm going to look at those pictures before I really I can't criticize them because I didn't see the pictures yet. So Steve, Takeoff Vision, I'm not criticizing what you're saying. I'm just telling you what my vision of this and the reasons why I went with a more natural look of the scowl coming into the bridge of the nose. I wanted that to look real, not just, clay carved. Because actually, my very first time doing this, that's exactly how I did it. I carved it, and it didn't look right. I was like, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Well, studied a little bit about human anatomy, studied, a little bit about what causes wrinkles, and it's the two things, gravity and movement of your face. And gravity does one thing to our flesh, no matter what anybody says differently. It makes our flesh fall. It makes our flesh fall, natural fall, and that's going to give you those natural looks. If you try to carve a wrinkle in, if you don't have that natural fall, the wrinkle won't look right. So, it's there. It's subtle. It's so subtle on the top of my bridge of my nose, but it's there, and it shows up on, with proper lighting. And I do a little bit of artwork to it to make it pop a little bit better. So, all right, guys, I need to go get lunch because I'm going to pass out. I'll be back for the next part in about a half hour. I just need time to eat, take medicine, blah, 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 and drink a gallon of water because I am dehydrated and I've been talking a lot and that doesn't help. So let me go get my lunch. I'll be back in about a half hour to 45 minutes at the most because I got to get this done. I don't want to be out here for 2 days trying to get this finished. I want this done today. Today. Another important part I'll end with. Oh, no. I want the criticism. I do. At corrective criticism, there's nothing wrong with that. And if I go see those pictures and I agree with it, I'm going to change it. I'm going to make it work. I have nothing, don't ever stop criticizing Takeoff Vision. That is, and Steve, this is nothing against, don't make this a bidding war or battle with like everybody's opinion. I don't want that because that's not what this is. It's like I said, if you look back, all the masks that everybody makes, they're all a little different. Even a little bit, they're all a little different. NAG, I think, has the most accurate masks out there. I think NAG is the closest thing to the real thing. But do I want to make a NAG mask? No, I don't. I don't want to make a replication of somebody else's already done work. You know, I think that's where everybody's missing the boat here. If you look at my mask and you say, "Oh my God, it's the most perfect mask I ever saw," somebody else looks at it and says, you know, it's not as good as the one I have over here. Well, that's fine. That's your vision of what, you know, your vision matches my vision, or it doesn't. You know, and that's the difference between you know, a good mask and a high quality mask. The time has been spent. I've spent 12 months, actually, if you add in the retooling work, probably a good 18 months, you know, between each retool that I did. You know, it's 18 months of work to 2 years possibly that I've spent on that sculpture. And I keep refining it as I learn things, as I see now. Like I said, I'm going to go see your pictures that you sent me, and I definitely want to see if I want to make those changes. You know, I hope you highlighted those areas of what you're talking about, so I know where you're talking about. Yeah, but it really comes down to like if like takeoff vision. I look at your mask. If somebody looks at your mask and they think it's the most perfect mask out there, and that's going to happen. That's what happens to all of us because that's what makes us, you know, a little bit different. Each mask is a little different. But I think NAG's got it nailed to the point where everybody is sold on NAG only. I'm a new artist, so I'm an unknown, and that's why I don't think my mask sold on eBay because I'm an unknown. I was actually told that by Nick Mulpagano. People have to get this mask. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to produce a couple of masks, and I'm going to give them to. I'm gonna paint them, hair them, do the whole 9 yards, and I'm going to give them to some real collectors, real heavy hitters. You know I'm taking money out of my pocket, but I want them to have that mask and say, okay, this is a nice mask. And I'm only going to do that for people that are willing to critique it on YouTube and show people that they've received the mask and it's high quality, it's not some fake piece. I actually got accused in the very beginning that I wasn't the sculptor of my sculpture. I was like, what? You haven't been watching very long. I've been doing the sculpture for months. You know, and I've been accused of, that's not your work. There's no way you did this. You've only have 2 years of experience. There's no way you did this. Yeah, I did. All right. I've been an artist all my life. Nobody knows my history, but I used to do relief carving in wood. And I used to do 5-tier to 6-tier relief carvings. And if you make a mistake in wood, it's over. You got to start over again. And you'll spend 2 years on a relief carving and refining it. It takes a long time to do relief carving in wood. And especially when I was doing hickory and I was doing hardwoods, because a lot of people wanted relief carvings in their doors, cabinets, tabletops. Most of those were hardwoods. So I spent hours and hours sharpening tools all the times. So it's I have the history of that, but I did scenery. I never did human figures. So I had to study human anatomy a little bit. And that's what I did, and started really looking at the pictures of the Michael Myers mask, screen-used mask, as much as possible from every picture we have available to us. I even still shotted some of the movie, like I have the movie in 4K, and I took still shots from it. And I follow more or less. I'm doing the first mask. This is a combination mask. This is actually, my sculpture is a little wider I can turn this from a Halloween 1 stretch to a Dick Warlock wider fit, just by adding a little bit of foam pieces in the inside of the mask on a small mask. You add some foam on the sides and you'll get that wider look. That's why I did what I did with the sculpture. I tried to imagine this mask without Nick Castle or Dick Warlock's head in it. And I figured, okay, let's go with that. And then from there, you know, I took my ideas from different masks that I've seen and created my own little version of it. You know, it's just, it is what it is. Do I want to make, I'm going to make the things that are accurate to the original as much as possible, but not without, not if I'm going to knock the integrity of what I've done already. If it destroys the integrity of what I've already done already and that I like about the mask, I'm not making those changes. That's just the way I feel about it as an artist. Anyway, the bridge of the mouth, the bridge of I feel strongly about, only because I've made mine look more of a natural collapse of flesh on the bridge. So let me jump off here. I'm lethargic, man. I got to get something to eat and I got to get something to drink. I will see you guys in about 45 minutes. Peace. Part 1 of molding the Night Creeper 78 by Custom Corpses is complete. See you in a bit.